implement programmatic navigation between, by clicking a button, right, and then deciding to navigate to the next component. So to do that, let's take a look at, for instance, well, the first thing we like to be able to do is that we need to bind the login button or the registration button, right? We have to tie it to some executable function that we can run, right? And from within that function, what we can do is to use the router library, right? The same library we use to declare the routes. It's going to be the same router that's going to allow us to programmatically navigate wherever we want to go. Right here, we're going to decide, if we click on the login page, right, we're going to do this.router.navigate, right, and here we can provide an array that allows us to build the URL where we want to go to, right? Sometimes that URL, it's a complex URL, right, and it's not just one string. It might be the concatenation of multiple strings with values and IDs and all sorts of stuff in there, right? So the navigate function allows us to provide an array of strings that are going to be concatenated together to make the long string. Okay, so let's take a look at that. The router function, right? It's a service that gets provided by the router that you can ask it to be injected as a service, right, inside of the constructor, and then you can give it a name, which you can then refer to it using this dot and then the name that you gave it, right? So router is a very common name to use. So we're going to use router here, and then this dot router navigate. So let's do that. So in our IDE, what we're going to do is that in our login page, login components, login, what we're going to do is that this hyperlink, right, the login hyperlink, we're going to do a click, right? We're going to call login. So that function doesn't exist right now. And the IDE is asking us, do you want me to create it for you? It says create the method login, so it does. So there it is. So in the component, in the login component, it creates the login function for me. In here, I can put in what do I want to do. So for now, let's test it to see if it works. Login in. All right, to see if it works. Let's go to login. I'm going to click login, and indeed, it doesn't work. Wait, let me register, refresh. Login. There it is. Alert. Login in. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to inject the router here. We're going to say in the constructor, we're going to say private router is of type router, Angular router, and imported it for us, right? And now in the login, we can use, instead of the alert, we can say this dot router dot navigate, and here we can provide an array of where do we want the URL that we want to navigate to. What do we want to navigate to? Basically just the profile, right? This profile string is taken from the router that we declared earlier, right here, the profile, right? It's like the hyperlink, and it's a very simple hyperlink. It only has one element, right? So let's try it out. So let's refresh. And if we click on login, indeed navigates to profile, right? Now the difference, obviously, the very, very important difference here is that this hyperlink doesn't allow us to put any code behind this to validate, right? This is a blind navigation. Just navigate there, right? There is no logic behind that hyperlink. Whereas through the button, right, and having a function in between, it would allow us to validate. It says, if the username and password are correct, then I'm going to let you through. Otherwise, I'm not going to let you through. Make sense? Right? It would also allow us to do things such as from the login component, perhaps we could do a hit the server. Okay, we could go and hit a service, user service maybe, and send the username, post the username and password to the server. The server would come back saying, yep, that person does exist, or no, that person is invalid. Yes. And in the then clause, decide to either alert saying, sorry, I don't know who you are, or let you through and do the this route navigate to. Make sense? Right. So it will allow you to do it. So we don't have a server for that. So let's do it. Let's do an easier version here. Let's create a couple of variables here. Username, and password, and let's see if we can tie them. Let's tie it to this input field, these two input fields. If we tie them to those input fields, we can validate. We can check to see if the username and password are valid. If not, if they are, we let them through. If not, we won't let them through. Yes. So let's work on that next.